Welcome back, gentle listeners, to another I don't know, the Gist with Fists. Talk to the Fist interviews. I'm still working on a name. It's gonna be something. And once again, back in Qing dynasty, they make a tale of white westerner come over with a cowboy boots and Russell ranch cattle in the wilds of China. They call him Heroin Bar.
That is the worst Japanese accent I've ever heard.
It's meant to be Chinese. It's meant to be the worst Chinese accent you've ever heard. Thank you very much. No. Racist.
That was a Japanese accent. That's a Japanese accent from like a food commercial from the 1960s. It's cool though.
Thank you very much.
It's pretty good.
That's exactly what I was going for. Like, not just being like a retarded Westerner. Now, of course, listeners, it's William from Incel Riot, the game guy and political commentator. Yes. Now, of course, as you know, I like to have him on my show. It's sort of like just like a pity sort of thing because, right, like I feel sorry for him being trapped in China, having zero civil liberties, unable to like speak, right? Unlike myself living in the UK, or I have all of the liberties, right? I tell you one thing over here, the government wouldn't just like spy on you and like, arrest you for speech and like, relentlessly socially engineer your life and try and like start an engineered famine to like fuck you over. Of course not. I'm just glad that you hear, William, so that, I can contrast just the extreme amount of freedom that I have. So much freedom with your poor soul. How you doing, mate? You good?
Pretty good. That was intense. That was like that was a 2-minute introduction. Good for you.
Thanks. I'm really feeling there should be like a word for like the sort of combination of fatigue and anxiety you get just living in the UK, like just being like you just sort of like suck it up through your skin by osmosis, right? Like UK syndrome, maybe.
Fatangxiety is what that's called.
Fatangxiety.
Yes.
Fatangxiety.
So I'm feeling very fatanged right now. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna steal that. That's fucking brilliant.
No, I made it for you.
Thank you so much. See, this is another very important part of a Chinese culture, a giving of an ontological gift between a host and a co-host. Way back in time.
No, dear dude, the breathy that is totally Japanese.
100%. Well, thanks very much. I mean, I guess.
I'm just saying.
In Australia,
I had
more exposure.
I had okay.
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, I had a guy. I had a dude over to fix my oven. I have a super cool Italian gas oven, which is sitting disassembled in this empty concrete box that I call my living room.
Nice.
That's why it's echoing in here. That is not an artifact of the microphone. It is actually very echoey in here because I have stripped everything down.
Please. You're too modest, right? We all know, right, that you are actually in an underground concrete toilet cubicle, right?
Oh,
with
more
a
or
big
less.
Pumping club upstairs, right? And you're like hiding away because this is the thing, right? He's like the renegade podcaster, right? He's like slinking away. All the bitches be around, be like, "Oh, William, come in a party with us," and he's like, "No, I gotta go and record this like underground podcast with this retarded dude like halfway across the world," right? Because that's how you roll, right? You're the dissident podcaster. Yeah, I mean, in my head canon, that's how it
anyway, we were. I forgot what I was talking about.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. My
he's about our age, and we got to talking about I don't know. It just reminded me how every mode of thought, over time, always ends up its own ass. So he's a typical Chinese free thinker, which means the Chinese government is like the worst at everything and like the worst they possibly be. And like the AI is the worst and their tech is the worst, because we were like discussing like whether or not when I get a new oven, if I should get like a Chinese one or like an Italian one. He's like, oh no, like, the Chinese is worse than everything. I'm like, okay, but yeah, it's getting better, right? Across the board. But yeah, it's typical attitude. Like the Chinese are the worst, and they just got to remind him, like, dude, you live in like this. I know it's a big country, but like this is like a backwater compared to like what's going on in the entire world. And as bad as things can be here, like you can't compare. You just can't compare.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I sometimes like wish that one day we could like wake up and all the people that like wish to move countries could just suddenly be like transplanted there, right? I know this is just a completely retarded like conceit, but like that would be fucking hilarious, right? You wake up tomorrow and all of the like whiny Americans who want to go to like Europe and Canada have been like suddenly transplanted there, right? I guess England would have like instantly 50 million like Indians and 50 million Nigerians, right?
Right. Oh, my favorite thing was like, this is several years back, but like I was arguing with like this Chinese liberal, and liberals are like in every country, like all the same. It's like whatever their country is, like their conceit is that their country is the worst at everything, right? My country is the absolute worst at this and the worst at that. And he had to like his debate points like all teed up. And he's like, oh, China the most corrupt, and like, oh, so corrupt. And he's, did you know how many Chinese officials have fled to the United States because they were indicted for corruption? And he like lists off all these guys. And like, okay, all right. And they give him like this, you asked for it kind of a look. He's like, you know how many like Americans have fled to China because of corruption? Zero. Corruption is legal.
No. In America, you flee to Israel when you get done for corruption.
Well, okay, that's for crimes, but corruption is legal. Corruption is completely legal. Corruption is free speech in the United States. It's completely legal. And I
remember when I heard that a bunch of people got like executed for corruption in China, and in the West, right? They were obviously framing this as like clearly this is because China is such a brutal place, and clearly these people like didn't do anything wrong, because the West has this weird like aversion to the death penalty that's become like this just crazy religion at this point. And I was just like, well, I mean, okay, obviously I can't comment on whether these people were guilty or not, or I wasn't there, but it does seem that at least there should be some downside for corruption, instead of like, we found out that you're being very corrupt. How about you do 2 years in a minimum security jail and get to keep all of your like money, and then like move away to like the Riviera in France or something like that? I mean, that hardly seems like, something that would disincentivize that behavior, right? Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe what I don't understand about our political class is that just their incredible sense of honor, right? Again, right? Like, the English political class, if they ever get caught being corrupt, they're overcome with shame, right? They lose their face falls off. They have to go to like thing and get like reattached. There's a lot of plastic surgery.
Right. Well, most of the time, like the Chinese officials that get the death penalty, they don't actually execute them. They just like permanently suspend the death. So you like have like a permanently suspended death sentence, right? So you get to live, but at any moment, we could just like call this in. The guys who actually get killed, like it was the CEO of that baby formula company who's putting like fake baby formula on the market, and like ended up like hundreds of babies died. That guy, he got shot.
That seems like the kind of thing that you should shoot someone for, right? I'm not gonna lie.
It does, doesn't it?
Like, I mean, in America, they just flee to Israel again.
Or they just continue serving. Like Fauci is still got a job, doesn't he?
Oh,
he can't even lose his job.
Oh, fuck, man. And his charges just like expired through like statute of limitation. They didn't get around.
I heard that. Right?
Yeah.
There's no statute on murder.
He's just walking around like unbeaten. Like what? Like I'm taking like crazy pills, right? Like
the actual Dr. Mangala of our time.
Yeah. And this is why I think all this shit's gonna kick off again, because the last time people did it, right, nothing happened to him. Like, you know, this guy, he lost his job. He should be hanging from his testicles.
He didn't lose his job. He's the highest paid government official in the United States government.
He runs this bitch. I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci, and I run.
By the
this
way,
bitch.
that he's not Italian. We know that, right?
I mean, I'm just saying,
that's
the
bulliest voice I've ever heard in my life.
Let's just say I did consider it was a possibility that I may have had connections with a certain community.
Yeah, the phenomenon of moolish people like LARPing as Italians need to be studied. The entire cast of Grease.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. They're very, very good at pretending to be sort of people in around the Mediterranean.
Well, they plausibly look like they could be.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, I mean, I do know Fauci is a Jesuit.
Is he?
But then there's that whole question about the Jesuits. So I was reading something that what happened to the Jesuits basically is that they force converted like a bunch of Moorish people who then joined the Jesuits and then took it over in a sort of like Uno card reverse thing, and that's why the Jesuits are sort of the way they are. But I mean, I don't know, man. Right? Like, the Catholic Church is so insanely Byzantine. It's weird.
The Catholic Church is Byzantine.
Well,
there's a quote for a throw pillow.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up. Okay, right. I mean Byzantine in the sense of organizationally complex and opaque, not like Byzantine as in. Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was still funny. Give me a break.
No, that was. So, are you excited for the imminent peace deal? Look, Trump said
I'm so checked out. There's
going to be a peace deal. There's going to be so much peace. We're going to start exporting peace missiles all around the world. We've got this excellent missile. It can spread more peace than you've ever seen.
I don't know. I'm kind of checked out, and like all the commentators I follow, and you also follow, apparently, like they're not really touching it because, like, why even bother? Like, why even waste the air talking about it until something happens?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just like that whole starvation thing is totally apparent. I mean, I don't know for sure, but apparently, like, India is already sort of starting to like wobble at the edges. And
India,
yeah, because without fertilizer, so I believe the summer planting season starts in like 3 days. June 1st is like the planting season, right? And there's not enough fertilizer because the strait is still closed, and so it looks like we're about to have like a totally accidental famine that no one could have possibly seen coming. I mean, I'm just saying it's a good thing that, no one ever in the history of like ever like actually engineered a famine for like any reason whatsoever. Right. Because everybody knows, right. If you want to kill off the population of an entire country, the best way to do it is with like highly intricate, like Rube Goldberg machine kind of like stuff instead of like just literally cutting off their food supply.
Your working theory is that Trump is working with the Israelis to starve the world, to reduce the population.
Yeah, I gotta say, right? I'm sort of starting to lean towards that theory as well.
Okay.
Because I was wondering to myself, right? Like, how the Israelis are very, very interested in India, right? They're sort of like
as the only country that likes them, I suppose.
Well, yeah. It's like, well, fine. If you people in the West, if you don't like us, we're going to go to India. And then, they rock up to India and presumably they're like, oh, Hoishal, there's so many Indians here. What's that smell, Hoishal?
They're actually going to like, Patagonia and Cyprus, though, right? They're going to India. What are you talking about?
No. They're actually preparing like a whole bunch of different bolt holes. So there's Patagonia, as you pointed out, where they're like burning down the forest and getting the land.
Yeah.
There's Cyprus.
Roberts.
There are apparently some islands in Greece. They better stay the fuck away from Mount Athos. I'm telling you, mate. Right? Like if we got to like sail gunships into like surround Mount Athos to like protect it, right? Protect Mount Athos at all costs, bros. Right?
I feel like God will protect Mount Athos. I sincerely believe this. Like,
I do as well.
Like before you got your gunboats into position, like bolts of fire from heaven would.
There's like right on the border to like Mount Athos proper. There's this like little town where people sort of go for a pilgrimage, right? Like, because obviously women can't enter Mount Athos, and
obviously
there's a lot of like walking involved and stuff, right? So it's like this sort of like little Orthodox Christian like tourist town. Apparently it's full of like churches, and like you can buy beautiful icons there and stuff. Like, I really want to go. I mean, some people.
I don't feel like I'm worthy. I don't feel like I'm worthy to get close to Mount Athos. I hold it in high esteem.
No, well, of course you're worthy, right? I mean, maybe
any monastery that would have me. That I don't have any respect for any monastery that would allow me as a member. How does that go?
No, that's my point. You don't actually go to the monasteries, right? There's this little town. It's like right on the border, but it's like where you do the application to get in and stuff, and the whole town is just like for sort of Greek Orthodox tourists, essentially. You know what I mean?
I have heard, yes.
So
I have some holy water from there.
Yeah, nice. So there's Patagonia, there's Cyprus, there's some Greek islands, there's Ukraine, obviously, right? They're going to get a fair chunk of Ukraine, Dnipro specifically, but that's still cooking. That might not be ready, like to go for a few years,
Well, they have to win the war first, don't they? And that doesn't seem to be going so well.
I mean, when you say win the war, right? What do you mean exactly? Like, what's your?
I forgot. In the Black Pill community, we assume that Israel wins everything all the time. I'm sorry. Yes, Ukraine will obviously win the war against Russia and set up a second Jewish state there. My mistake.
No, but they don't have to, right? If Russia takes. No, look, if Russia takes like all of like Donbass and Kherson and stuff, right? Everything east of the Dnieper River. Dnipro, the city with the world's largest synagogue, by the way, in case you didn't know, right? Right on the river Dnieper, will then become essentially like the gateway between east and west. It's going to be a great business opportunity. You should get in on the ground floor.
So you're telling me that Russia, after winning this war against Ukraine for 5 years and losing millions of people, are just going to allow them to like set up right on the border, more biolabs?
No, not the Israelis. I mean Chabad, right? Like
right. Like Chabad my mistake. Huge difference.
Chabad is huge in Dnipro.
Of course, the Russians don't know anything about this. They have no experience with this particular class of people.
I don't know. That's a really good question. Something really interesting.
You just got to assume the worst case outcome in every situation. All hope is gay.
Well,
Say
hope is gay? What is the best case?
If you have any hope at all.
Hey, listen.
Any good news is gay. It means you are a sucker. It means you're a sucker. Month,
in a few days, right? I want to put forward a new slogan for Pride Month. Hope is gay.
Hope is gay.
Hope is gay. Oh, that's great.
Get like blue and yellow ribbons. We can just paste them all over our bodies. It protects us from falling for it again. That's the worst thing that can happen to you, is that you have hope and that it turns out not to be true, because then the internet will make fun of you with ribbons.
I just hope it protects me from heterosexuality. I mean, right? I mean, can you imagine being that much of a reactionary, right? Living in the past, right? Subscribing to heterosexuality, right? Like, gay is where it's at, bros, right? Like slowly subsuming your entire civilization in sort of like mandated homosexuality. Right? That's where it's at, bro. That's what all the cool white kids are doing. I mean, not the migrants, obviously, they breed like rabbits. But no, but listen. So what is your, when you talk victory in Ukraine, right? Like what do you even, what does that even mean? Like what would you even like victory for whom? Go on, give us your
well, Russia's going to win.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And their victory conditions are the quote unquote denazification, right? Which means the de-radicalization of Ukraine. And we're going to split hairs here. That means no Chabad. All right. That means no Chabad.
No, that's not.
Yes, it does.
No,
yes,
it does. It means no.
Oh, I forgot. The Jews control Putin too. The Jews
means no Pravi sector.
The Jews control Zelensky.
Right. It means no Zelensky. It means no Pravi sector. Right. No.
Who? Zelensky's Jewish. He has an Israeli passport.
Yes, I know.
Okay, yes, it's a Mossad op.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's going away when the Russia wins. All that, it's going away.
Oh, see, I always just assumed, right, that they took over these groups so they could destroy them, get the Russians to destroy them. Right? Like that was my assumption, right? Because like, how do you get rid of all these people, right? Okay. Like, well,
you want to talk Russia war. I don't actually, your theory sounds kind of like something I would say. Like they're just doing this for like to get the reaction that would actually destroy the thing that they want. I don't think that's true. I think if you look, again, right, you can't just like based on last 6 weeks, like go back to the beginning, right? When 2014, right? Like right after the coup, NATO set up like at the beginning of the war, the Ukrainian army was bigger than the Russian army. And it ostensibly, like if you like from NATO's perspective, they also had like better weapons, right? And better training.
Well, okay? Yeah, because
they weren't, their goal was not for like an endless war that would like kill 1 billion white people. That might be like
NATO.
That might be a knock-on like benefit.
Oh, come on.
They were going
NATO things. Right? Like,
what?
like
hang on. I don't know.
Yeah, please go on. Sorry, go on.
They were going to win. They were planning to win. Okay, they're going to invade Russia and win. That was the goal.
Right. And my goal, right, is to like go and like fight like the world's best MMA fighter, right, without any like very very little training. Okay, right. And NATO has assured me, right, that they're gonna like give me weapons and stuff like that. And then when I go into the ring, I won't get destroyed, folded, spindled, and mutilated. Because NATO's on my side, bro. That's literally how fucking NATO thinks, right? They're like, oh, bros, we're the good guys. Like, oh, everyone's like, oh, the controversy is over like whether Ukraine could join NATO. Ukraine already joined NATO, right? After 2014, NATO like put in intelligence and logistic networks all through Ukraine's military. They rushed in military equipment. NATO took over Ukraine. That was the whole fucking point. That's what the fucking coup was about. And then NATO came along and is like, oh, hey bros, those Russians, they're pee-pee poo-poo pants. Really, if you think about it, they're just like a gas station, right? I remember at the time when this shit like fucking broke. I fucking wrote my university dissertation on this fucking. I'm so angry about this because at the time, everyone in the UK, this is like what, 2018, 2019, no, wait, 2020, 2021, something like that, right?
Okay.
Everyone, like particularly in the university sphere, right? Like everyone was like, oh, Slava Ukraini. We're gonna like, the brave Ukrainians, they're gonna like, deal the Russian Putla a black eye. And I'm like, this is fucking stupid. They are going to get destroyed. What the fuck is wrong with you? Right? This is Russia, like a country so large, right? It covers like, oh my God, I don't know, like a quarter of the earth.
Hang on. You're right. But okay, at the very beginning of the war, right? When they goaded, this is off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure Ukrainian army was 340,000 regulars,
right,
and the Russian army was 170,000 regulars. So almost 2-1, or just better than 2-1.
right. So,
Right. So
like armies exist because you draw them from the population, right? An
yes,
army is not like a fixed quantity, right? That's why
I understand.
In a war you like lose soldiers, you make new soldiers, right? The key like point about the war fighting ability of any country, apart from its like population and its will to fight, is its industrial and logistics capacity, right? So access to raw minerals, right? Access to like engineers and technicians, right? Access to like supply chains, and like Ukraine doesn't have any of that shit. It's got like much less now.
No, but NATO does.
Oh yeah, really? Really?
Like, I don't know why. I don't know how he ended up arguing this particular position.
You know, look,
my point was, and I may be arguing against something that you're not saying, but I see a lot of people like giving these ex post facto rationalizations that like what the state of the war now as it is was the plan all along. And I don't see it that way. I think Russia, well, on paper, like Ukraine should have won the war, except the Russians employed like superior tactics.
On paper,
very superior tactics.
Oh, see, I disagree. I disagree entirely because fundamentally, right? Like if you're doing this on paper, you should have taken into account not only the industrial capacity of Russia, right? The fact that they are literally next door to Ukraine, so got shorter logistic like supply lines, right? The fact that Russia's like tight with China, all of these things. Like to me, it was excuse me, obvious they were going to get fucking destroyed. And since I'm hardly like the world's greatest genius in foreign affairs, right? I would assume there were other people who could tell. Thank you. I assume that there were other people who knew this as well.
Just kidding.
Who were just exploiting all the flag waving retards, right? Who were basically like, you know, oh, Stephen Hawking can like totally beat Hulk Hogan, right? Because Hulk Hogan's a bad guy, right? And Stephen Hawking, he fights for freedom. It's just like, dude, you can inject Stephen Hawking with as much freedom juice as you want. He's still going to get fucking destroyed. Yeah.
If I can interject something,
please.
Again, I realize I'm coming at this from a very strange angle, which I may not entirely support. But I read this paper in college. It was about the Chinese Civil War, and it took like a very interesting angle, and it analyzed it in game theory, which, like, you know, it's always been my hobby, is game theory. And their argument was that that Chiang Kai-shek was playing chess, and Mao Zedong, Chairman Mao, was playing Wei Qi, or Go, as you might say.
Right.
And it's basically an analysis of the way the West, the United States and Britain fight wars versus the way like Russia or China might fight a war, right? And his analysis was like this: is the way the West fights wars is as if it were a chess board, and on a chess board, the most dominant position is always the center. Okay, so whoever controls the center controls the board, and on the opposite side, if you're playing Wei Qi or Go or Othello, if you only played the Parker Brothers version, the dominant position is at the edge. You always want to secure the edge, and then you strangle them. You move into the middle, and you strangle them, right? And this is how. Right. And this is how the United States has fought every single war, and it has always worked. Well, almost. Well, okay, not always. It has very often worked. For example, like Iraq War, right? Go straight for the center. You pair it like. They did very little fighting around the edges. You soften them up with their bombs. You parachute some guys into like the middle of Baghdad. You take out their TV station so they can't broadcast their filth propaganda. And then you stage an incident with a statue with like 60 paratroopers. See, once you control the center, the periphery collapses.
I mean, I see what you're getting at there, right? That's a very interesting theory.
If I may apply this to the current situation, that was what they expected Russia to do, and That's what they expect everyone to do. And that's when they always say like Russia hasn't won. This is what they always point to, is because, well, they haven't taken Kiev. Therefore, they're not serious. Therefore, they haven't taken any ground. Therefore, they're losing this war, because if you had the ability to take Kiev, why would you not? Right?
Okay. So if I may offer a counterpoint to this, right? I think one of the reasons why the US is doing quite badly in the current conflict is because the way the US generally fights wars is they don't actually take territory, right? They do like what you are describing, but
the Russians do not know.
Right.
They're fighting the army, not for the land.
What you're really describing basically is just sort of decapitation, occupation, and constant counterinsurgency, right? Like the US did not take Iraq, right? Like they didn't like secure territory or Afghanistan or anything like that, right? Like they just landed in like Kabul or whatever. They'll set up like a green zone. They'll dominate, you know, the central bank, money flows, resource flows, and stuff like that, and you know the heroin flows, and then you know. But the Russians are fighting very, very differently in that they're actually gaining territory. Now, of course, this is very, very easy to do for the Russians because Ukraine is literally next to them, right? This is it would be like if the Americans, for example, wanted to take Alberta, right? And they're like, you know, the way we'll do this is we'll rush troops over and we will expand the United States so that it now includes Alberta. But when you're doing this like halfway across the world, it's a totally different story. You're not really, if you think about it, actually held territory, gained territory, or really even fucking tried, right? They just go in.
No, they have lost territory.
Well, yeah, exactly. But they just go in, right? They like just destroy the decision-making center of a country, right. You know, make it collapse, and then sort of, you know, play in the ruins like a sort of like gory sandbox, you know, essentially.
Yeah, well, the war was won by the Russians like about a year in at Mariupol, right? Taking advantage of like NATO tactics of like securing key positions. Apparently, the NATO decided that Mariupol was a very key position, and so the Russians like lured waves after waves after wave after wave of Ukrainian troops into that position, where they got slaughtered, right?
Right.
Again and again and again and again. I don't know what was in there, but the NATO kept sending helicopters in. Do you remember this? Helicopter after helicopter after helicopter, and they all got shot down.
Yeah. So that was everything like in Azovstal. They had a steel plant that was you know,
and maybe something else.
And maybe something else. Critical. Yeah, precisely, right? But this is the thing. This whole way of fighting is one of the reasons why people have started believing that this was in some way deliberate, because the Ukrainians, they will do this thing where they will get like nearly totally surrounded, and instead of like abandoning a position, pulling back and like mounting a defense, they'll just leave their troops in there to get slaughtered. They do it all the goddamn time. Like they like for all of the Western propaganda about like, you know, the Russians and their human wave attacks. Oh my god, I remember this. It was all through the papers, right? Those unintelligent, brutish Russians, right? They basically give their soldiers like a stick of celery and a bowl of borscht, right? And they like, you know, they mass human wave them into the machine gun fire, the valiant Ukrainians. The opposite is basically true, right? Like the Ukrainians will get overrun, and they will never ever withdraw their troops. Azovstal is a very, very good example of this, right? Like, you know, it was clear that Mariupol was lost, like weeks and weeks, and they left people in there, and then they got surrounded, right? And then the US tried to like extract like a bunch of people. I can only assume that they had like NATO advisors there, and you know, I don't know, probably a biolab or two, knowing like the way shit's been going. They got the helicopter shot down. It was a right to do. It all went a bit left, Sir Nigel, if you know what I'm saying.
That would be a compelling theory if they had only just started fighting that way. But they've always fought that way, right? NATO has always fought this way. No. NATO. Well, NATO is calling the shots, right? And they have always fought that way. They fought World War II that way. Right? They fought Iraq that way. They tried to fight Vietnam that way.
But when did the Americans get overrun in Iraq?
Never. Well, recently.
Oh, no, that's my point. That's a wholly different thing. What I'm talking about is when when was the last
I'm
time?
not saying it was successful. I'm saying that's what they've always tried to do.
Right.
So there's consistent across the board, across many decades.
NATO has made something of a career of itself, like certainly since the start of the 21st century, in prosecuting wars that aren't really wars, because like a war sort of generally denotes or implies like a peer competitor, right? Whereas NATO,
True.
just they go around and they land in some country that's like basically AK-47s and goats and be like, you got a democracy now, boy. And Abdul's just like, well, can I keep my goat? Of course you can keep your goat. Just go over there and farm some more of them poppies. Oh yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna phone up Mordecai and tell him the shipment's on the way, boy.
Yeah, I don't know why that guy's a Southerner and not some
I don't know
group,
either.
but,
Listen, flying blind by the seat of my pantaloons here, right? Like the accents, they just come. I don't know. For some reason,
at least you can do a Southern accent. Most British comedians they can only do like the New York.
Oh yeah, no. I love the Southern accent, man. It's sort of larger than life. I think it might be because when I was growing up in Australia, you get a fair bit of American television.
A fair bit, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Australian television was like a mix between like British television and American television, right? Which I think says a lot about the Australian national character, to be perfectly honest. And so you'd see these like cowboys striding across the plain, right? You get like a lot of like westerns and all this kind of like stuff. These sort of like larger than life figures. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know. So okay, let me ask you a question then. Okay.
Sure.
If you were sort of the evil sort, right, and you wanted to depopulate Ukraine, right? The women can stay in, especially the children, for obvious reasons, right? But you wanted to get rid of the entire male population of Ukraine so you could replace them with sort of like the more compliant sort. How would you go about it?
Well, I gotta say, bioweapon. That would be my first choice.
Very messy.
No, I hear what you're saying. That's one thing, but like there are other factors, like NATO being very pissed off, and the Rothschilds are very angry with Putin.
Actually, just to circle back, do you know something that I found out? What? Did you know that the Russians are financing the entire war from their actual tax revenue and are not borrowing any money to pay for it?
I believe it.
That is very anti-citrus, right? Like I can't.
It's men and artillery shells. What do you need to?
No. But like traditionally speaking, right?
Oh, I know.
When a country in fucking anywhere, right? But especially like Europe or Europe adjacent, when they go to war,
wait a minute,
they borrow money. They have to borrow money, right? Like
I thought the Russians were completely under control of the Rothschilds.
I don't.
There's that list going around, like all the countries of the Rothschilds Bank. Is every single country except Venezuela, Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. Everybody else is controlled by the Rothschild Bank. Isn't that true? Isn't that true, Newsfist? Do you not find that factual?
No, I mean I have heard this as well. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if you didn't believe that, if you actually believe that the Russians weren't under the control of Rothschild's bank, we might have to call your sanity into question. You might be.
Right. But just
that's what I hear.
Hypothetically speaking here. Okay, right?
Yes.
What happens if you do have a, quote unquote Rothschild central bank, right, in your country? Okay. And
what does it happen?
And they're like, oh, the thing about this country is they don't have enough debt. We better engineer some sort of crisis, so they'll have to borrow some money for us. And then they just don't do it.
That.
Right. Like, but that's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to like march into Putin's office, right, with a fucking like bagel and some schmear and be like, actually, Vladimir, you better borrow some fucking money off us or else, right? like this,
it is a valid question,
right?
And it really calls a lot of assumptions into question, doesn't it? Because the only way this grift works, the only way this power works, is when people don't know about it.
Yes, and when And when people,
And if there was like a faction in the world right now that was perhaps through like overzealous love, indiscreet love of the Israelis, indiscreet love of the Jewish people, exposed that would be very bad. That would be bad for, wouldn't it be bad? Like countries like Thailand and like China, like they may not want to like take the IMF loans if they knew that,
that's very anti-citrus. Actually, I
it's
I
extremely
think
anti-dyspeptic.
I think the slogan for this year's Pride should be indiscreet love. It's beautiful. Like it brings a tear to my eye. No, I mean, like, but this is true. But also, right, like
anti-Semitic love.
You have to. I mean, this. I think about this a lot, right? Like on a personal level, but also like a state level, right? Like how you have to submit to the passions, right? Like you like all of this trouble comes because people, they make this decision. They're like, oh, sure, we'll just borrow the money. We'll do the thing. A lot of the times they're not even forced. They're sort of seduced, if that makes sense, right? It's like, oh, this will be like way easy. I just think it's. I wonder how much. I mean, people on the internet tell me that like actually Russian Orthodoxy is not influential at all in Russia, and that like they're all atheists and junkies, and and I mean I find that hard to believe, right? I know Putin is very Orthodox, and then people tell me like, oh, that's just performative. I'm like, listen, man, I don't think so, right? I've seen footage of that guy.
He restored the church to full authority. I was surprised. I was very surprised. Like, sure, like he'll give them back some of their land, and like they can march around and march up and down the square. But he's not going to give them any political authority. But then he did.
Yeah, and then the Russians.
Can I interject? Can I interject?
Sure, please.
This is very quick. I experienced the Orthodox Spring firsthand here in China because I was I was baptized. Me and my oldest son were baptized at the Russian embassy complex in Beijing, which used to be property of the Russian Orthodox Church.
Wow.
Used to be a cathedral before the Stalinists dynamited it.
Right.
But so yeah, it's like they hold church services there like every Sunday. You need a passport to get in. It's very cloak and dagger. No Chinese allowed.
Right.
Where was I going? Oh, right. So this is about 20 years ago. And when I first started attending that church like on a regular basis, and when I first started attending, it was like me and like the Candle Boy. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good Orthodox. I don't know all the words for things, but
I don't
it's
know.
Like there's nobody there.
I know what you mean. The boys that hold the candle when they do like the
guys who make sure that when the candle burns down, they like pick it up.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. I think it's called a verger or something. I'm not sure. I really should know all the fancy words, but I don't.
So it was me and him, right? Okay. After a year, it was like you literally had to stand outside. Like the church was so full, right?
Yeah.
And like the narthex and like all the way out to outside. So that was real. That actually happened.
Yeah, my church has been packed. Like in when it gets to like Easter or Christmas, like it literally like flows out into the street now. It's huge, and so this is my point, right? Like if Russia is sort of like very Orthodox, and it seems to me like it's trending that direction. Like it doesn't even have to be like every person in Russia is Orthodox, right? Like if there's a general sort of like culture of that sort of like suffusing the country, and particularly like the government. I mean, imagine having a government that actually believes in like morals. I can't even imagine such a thing. I can feel all the testicles in the Westminster elite just like shrinking up in horror. Right? Everybody knows that morals and politics have no business being together.
No, of course not. It raises an interesting question.
Right.
One that I have been pondering for a very long time. Don't you think it's curious the Catholic character of the nationalist resurgence in the United States?
I don't think it's curious.
It's well, okay. If you study history, like you're the cycles of history, like you know that the religion is coming back, but one would assume, this being the United States, that it would be a very evangelical in character because that is the majority.
Mate, the evangelicals are in serious trouble, right?
I know.
No. My point is that they have been stretched and subverted to the point where it's hard to pin down what exactly do they believe, right? Like a hearty lunch, biscuit and some grape juice, like out on the lawn, and then we all have a big like Baptist cookout. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not against like Baptists having like cookouts and stuff, but it's not like once you thin a religion like down like enough where it can literally include like anybody, it doesn't really have a flavor anymore, right? Like I know sort of Christianity is supposed to be universal.
Evangelicalism is not Christianity, and
precisely. So it's like Protestantism, sort of, I guess, like twice removed or something, right? It's like this is the problem with
it's religion themed and it's Bible themed entertainment. That's the most you should give it. It's not a religion.
Every time I see footage of like those mega churches where like they have like the acrobats and shit, and I'm just like, dude, what even is that, man? Like,
did you see? You probably don't subscribe to Jenny Nicholson, but you should look up her review of like the Church of the Rock, which is like this evangelical church up in Canada that does passion plays, Easter plays, using Marvel characters, like literally like crucified.
Now, see,
it's the most blasphemous thing you could possibly imagine.
See, that, in my opinion, is a direct psyop. Right? You remember to go back to the Ukraine war, right? You remember when it broke out, right? And everyone was basically using Marvel characters, right, as a way to explain the Ukraine war, right? Like
some people were, yes.
Because that's there's good and there's evil. Well, how do you tell the difference? Well, it's easy, right? The good guys have the brightly colored costumes, and the bad guys have the dark colored costume. And like the social engineering potential of this kind of like belief is not to be underestimated. I think this is one of the reasons why there are so many people in the West who like literally think that, I was thinking about this a lot, right? Like how in Orthodox Christianity or in proper Christianity like Catholicism and stuff, right? These questions on morality, right? Like have like entire books and like, like proper thinkers and stuff like that, right? And now you have this sort of like Reddit version where they're like, oh, just be a good person. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like I guess when you're you sitting alone,
sex work is work, and you need to pay them properly, and not make them feel bad about their decisions.
You need to be like really nice to the gays. I think that kind of like stuff is only tenable when people are sort of like in a comfy pod. The other thing that really fucking disturbs me, right, is that a lot of these people, they don't even think that lying is bad, right? Like I've come to this conclusion, right, that one of the most underestimated sins that is just everywhere is people, they lie all the time. They don't even think there's anything like morally bad about like lying, right? They're just like, oh, I lied for a good reason, therefore it's good. No, it's not. You just there's no moral prescription against deception or and I think
I know. Well, I was brought up Mormon, and lying is a central part of that religion. It's the central part.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like in what sense? You mean like the mythology, or you mean like it's sort of like you're supposed to lie to make people feel good, or like?
This is going to sound strange, but it's very similar to the way Mormons think. It seems to be very similar to the way Israelis think. I'm using the euphemism on purpose because I don't want you to get flagged. I'm not sure they know that they're lying. I think their brains work in a fundamentally different way.
See, those people are the most dangerous, man.
Right.
Like once
Like
people
like the difference. I have more. It's like the difference between Cartesian geometry and like polar geometry. Right. Like the way you and I think rationally, I assume. Well, yes, rationally.
Yeah.
There's no center, right? Everything's just is based on evidence, right?
Right.
You observe, right? And like truth is relative to like other things. The way Mormons think is that there is a central truth, right? Joseph Smith is a prophet. The church is true. Jesus visited America and brought them like the golden plates. That's true. Okay. And everything else is true relative to whether it supports that truth or not.
Right.
And with Israelis, it's Israel, right?
Yeah.
Everything Israel does is good. And they don't know that they're lying because that's true in their mind. That's true. That's right. If it supports it, it's true. If it doesn't support it, it's a vicious lie.
I mean, that's very similar to communism, right? Like Soviet style.
Well, yeah.
Communism, right? No, I'm just saying,
Soviet,
right? Like this idea that, right, like of a set of n facts, right? If fact supports communism, ergo it is true. If it doesn't, it is untrue.
True.
Wasn't Lysenko into that? I feel like Lysenko was into. I remember reading something that there was like a whole thing in not this would have been before Stalin. I think this would have been like under Lenin, where they were like very, very into this concept. You know, right? You can tell how true an idea is by like how communisty it is, basically.
True, but then also under the Soviet system, like as like opposed to like any other system, communist system, I suppose. Like there's constant under that framework. There's constant activity, and so the meaning of communism will shift radically over time, right? Like you said, like the communism. You can say the communism, right? That's the thing that is the absolute, right? The state is the absolute, but the definition of what like. If you're a Trotskyist, you might have one conception of what the absolute is. And if you're like some other faction, you might have a different idea. And one of these is wrong, and one of them is going to get shot.
Well, think of the enormous social engineering potential of this concept. Okay, right? So if you've got like a whole bunch of people that work on this basis, right? Like communism is true, therefore more communisty it is, right? The more true it is. And you yourself hold the definition of what communism is, because of course, like it's an abstract concept, right?
Yes.
Then when you shift like the definition of that thing, everyone else has to come along with it, just by definition. Like, I mean, it's fucking, it's like, you know, getting the top of a Christmas tree and, you know, like waving it side to side, right? And like everything under it like swings with it, you know?
And that's why you have to purge people on a regular basis, because, you know, not everybody will agree with your idea of what absolute communism is.
Yeah.
And those people have to get shot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I wonder I wonder how long before it's going to start, you know, getting that way in the UK.
I don't think no. That's not coming back. Okay. We have the opposite horror. We have the opposite horror where there is no absolute and everything is your vibe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, I was thinking about, you know, the incoming global famine. It's, you know, like absolutely like not going to happen, obviously, because Trump's going to save us all, bro. Don't you know? And I was thinking, right, like, you know, if I do have to resort to cannibalism, right, at least I will be in a place full of exotic flavors. And then I was like, you know, and then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, like, what would you like tonight, dear? Indian or Nigerian or Pakistani? Oh, you spoiled.
Wash it good. Wash it good. Wash it properly.
I think that Indian I didn't agree with me.
Yeah, I had some Indian, and now I have the green apple splatters.
Yeah. Did we have a whiteboard? I can't remember.
But should we get to the main topic though? It's been an hour. We need to get to the main topic.
Right. What was the main topic?
The main topic is WrestleMania 41.
Okay. Well, please.
All right.
Take it away. Take it away.
Okay. So if you are, as I know you are, a not necessarily a fan, but an observer of wrestling culture, you know that WrestleMania 41 was last year. That John Cena, right, Mr. MAGA himself, like Captain America, getting on in years, he turned heel. Okay, he sided with The Rock, and he betrayed Cody Rhodes and kicked him square in the nuts. Right? Okay, it's huge soccer for all WrestleMania fans. And my question, okay, obviously that was a horrible thing to do, and it shocked everybody. But this shock, inadvertently, or possibly not, or possibly intentionally, elevated Cody Rhodes to kind of like the next Captain America, if you follow me. And my question to you is, who got John Cena? Was he bribed by Miriam Adelson? Was he, do they have blackmail on him? Or was he evil all along and nobody knew it? That's my question.
That seems like an allegory for something I can't quite put my finger on.
Do you think? I mean, no. Well, it's predictive programming, as the kids know.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I've said this before, right? I have started viewing politicians primarily as people who are sort of led and controlled by their passions, right? Because that's how they.
Okay. But there's three options. Unless you have a fourth option, it's got to be one of those three. There's actually a fourth option that's kind of obvious, but I want to hear your answer.
I don't know. Trump, obviously, right, in this allegory,
and Cody Rhodes is Thomas Massey, yes,
right. Oh, right, okay, right, okay. I didn't get that one.
And then when this is before WrestleMania, they set this up, right? This rivalry. Right. And then at WrestleMania, like one would assume, like, okay, the evil John Cena is going to get what's coming to him, and not Massey, but Cody Rhodes will be vindicated, and he will take the belt. But no, John Cena crushed him, kicked him square in the nuts in front of the entire country.
Look,
they actually had a tug of war over the MAGA belt.
See, I just view this differently, right?
I know you do.
Politicians, they want power, right? The better they are at deception and dissembling, right, the better they are at gaining power. The way that they gain power is they promise stuff to people. Once they gain power, they have some kind of agenda that they want to pursue. And then if people start getting in their way, they kick them to the curb, right? I mean, I used to really think that Trump cared about his legacy. I'm not so sure about that now, actually, right? Like,
right.
I thought that would actually be like a big restraining force on him, right? Like, how am I going to be remembered in the history books? It matters a lot. When they put up like the 100-foot tall Trump statue with the crypto ATM and the big toe, it's going to be glorious.
So you think John Cena's personality is the operative factor here?
Unlike John Cena, Trump is a consummate showman, right? A real estate broker, right? TV guy. So if anyone had the skill to just deceive everyone.
If he's a showman, then wouldn't he put on a show?
He did put on a show. It got him into power. This is the point. Like, once you're elected, right, particularly for your last term, who gives a fuck, right? Like what? They're gonna march into the
legacy. Your legacy,
right? But to have
all right. Let me put a finer point on this.
Okay,
you're not giving me the answer.
I don't know the answer.
Would it have been entirely predictable a year ago, like when some predicted it, that this rivalry between this totally real and not at all fake, not at all staged rivalry between Trump and Massey would elevate Massey to the inheritor of the MAGA movement? Like, couldn't you have predicted that? Isn't that what's happened? Isn't that the spin that everybody's putting on it? Massey is MAGA now.
Yes.
Trump is this heel character. He's the foil to Massey, the arch enemy.
the Epstein crap has been going on for at least a year at this point, right? And
the Epstein crap has been going on for 10 years.
No. I mean, people knowing about it, right? Like the files being released and all of that to do.
Oh, no.
Okay, right.
I have cards in print from 2018 with the Epstein files on it.
Yes. I know the autists knew about it, right? I mean, Trump was bloody talking about it on the campaign trail, but when I'm talking about they actually released it, okay,
right?
And everyone was like, bro, they're gonna like arrest the money power. I was like, yeah, I don't think they are. Generally speaking, like one of the great things about being the money power is that you have functional immunity. That's how that crap works. You are the money power. That's the power part of the money power, right? Like you're not gonna like, what are you gonna do? Like, arrest me and then I'll, call my friends and we'll like call in all of your loans and your fucking country's gonna collapse, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I see what you're getting at, right? Like you're expressing the point of view, right? That politics is scripted, it's kayfabe, right? And that behind the scenes, right? Like, Trump and Massey are like, slapping each other on the back and yucking it up, and Trump's being like,
it's not behind the scenes. It's not behind the scenes. They'll have like this, like Trump and Tucker Carlson have that spat, and like 2 days later he's at his house, Tucker's a bum. I can't stand that guy. He's such a bum. And like 2 days later, he's at the White House standing.
I don't think Trump and Tucker will be lunching now, right? Like there's still bang. I mean,
now he's called him the Antichrist.
I mean, how long has the Tucker cost been? It's like it's getting on like at least 6 months since they basically declared Tucker Carlson to be the enemy, and they
started like this spat based on nothing. Like it was very poorly written, in my opinion, because it was like it wasn't based on anything. And Trump just called Tucker a bum. Like this was the headlines: Trump calls Tucker a bum, and Tucker's like, "How dare you call me a bum? You're a bum." Like that was the extent of it, right? And then a little while later, Tucker was at the president's house, like in the Oval Office, taking a picture, and then it heated back up in like a couple weeks ago when he called him the Antichrist, which he now denies. But anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, my understanding, again, I don't know because I wasn't there, but my understanding was that Tucker kept going around to see Trump and asking him not to fucking declare war on Iran.
I don't know if I believe that, but yeah, that's the story.
That's the story, right? Again, right? I wasn't there, right? Imagine like following all this shit, like
you're a great story.
A wife, like watching a soap opera, and you actually know like what the hell's going on. I don't know, but that's the story, right? So Tucker kept bugging Trump and just being like, "Listen, don't go to war with Iran. It's like a bad move. Your base is gonna like hate you." And Trump was like, "Actually, it's gonna be great. 2 weeks, easy in, easy out. The Iranians ain't got shit on us." And the thing is, I can believe that Trump was being told this because he's surrounded by like the same people,
right? And as we all know, since Trump is just like this empty-headed vessel. He's got there's no brain in there. Like whoever holds his hand controls Trump.
Listen, man, right?
It makes perfect sense.
The Nuland-Kagan axis, right, have been leading the US government around the nose on fucking foreign policy for decades, right? They are
hang on.
Very
skilled. They served that government. They serve the deep state. They don't control it.
Okay, they influence it. Sorry, control is not the right word. Influence.
No, they are the front-facing operatives of the deep state. Please continue.
Look. Okay, I've read a lot of people from these, a lot of stuff from these chuckle fucks, right? From the Council of Foreign Relations, from Nuland, Kagan, and like Project the New American Century. All of these people, right? And all they really do is spend their time crafting elaborate academic arguments for like why war with country that we don't like will be like awesome. And then as far as I'm aware, they liaise with people in the intelligence community in order to make sure that the intelligence community gives exactly the message that they want to the president. Like, okay, let me give you an example, right?
The pipeline is Rothschilds, CFR, State Department, CIA.
well, I don't know about the Rothschilds. Let me give you an example.
Okay? Absolutely.
During the 90s, right, when stuff with Russia was like, winding down, or maybe it was the 80s. Was it before the collapse or after the collapse? It was around the time of the collapse of the USSR as an entity. Okay, right?
Right.
So the CIA was basically telling the US government, look, Russia is fucked. Okay, we've got all this satellite intelligence, we've got all this aerial intelligence, right? Like they're completely screwed. Okay. Now, this was not the message that the Nuland, Kagan, CFR types wanted, right? Because they wanted more military spending and probably wanted to get the US to invade or whatever. Okay. So this guy, Daniel Pipes, started this thing, and yes, he is of a certain tribe, right? Started this thing called Plan B. And Plan B was basically mandated by the State Department to get access to all the CIA intelligence. And then they basically put this slant on it. They're like, oh, see that outhouse over there? That's actually a SAM site. And they came back with this highly alarming report saying that actually, the USSR hasn't collapsed. They're just pretending, right? There's nuclear missiles under every bottle of vodka and shit. And this kept the military industrial complex going. They've been doing this shit literally for decades. So I don't find it surprising that they would be able to do this with Iran. They probably, as far as I'm aware, they have been doing this shit specifically about Iran for decades, right? They simultaneously portray any country that they want the US to go to war with as incredibly strong and dangerous, and yet incredibly weak at the same time.
Yes.
It's weird dichotomy, right? It's they're the greatest danger ever to bestride the earth, right? But compared to us, they're like a total pushover, right? We just got to walk in, easy out. The Iranians will overthrow their government, blah 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 blah. So I don't think Trump would be immune. You know how fucking abusy it is to be like the US president. That's one of the tricks, by the way, that the deep state used to keep leaders on the hop, right? They make sure that they're always busy. They don't really have any time alone to reflect. I just don't know, man. Right? Was Trump always a wrong'un? Right? Is it age? Was he always going to flip? I've got no idea, man. I can't.
I'm just very amused and baffled by the theory that the deep state would cook up this very, very elaborate and expensive decades-long ruse to take control of something that they already control.
What, they already control Iran?
Yes. Oh, no. But the United States. Obviously, why would they need a Trump if they already... In 1999, the deep state control of the United States was absolute. Absolute. Okay, they did not need this Trump kayfabe to take more control over the United States.
Okay, so again, the term is influence, not control, right? And they have been doing this shit. It's not just Trump. They've been doing this shit to tons of different presidents, going all the way back to Bush Senior, I think, to be perfectly honest, right? So the president, they can say no, but once they sort of start accepting the premises being put forward by these people, it becomes easier and easier to say yes. I mean, look, the obvious explanation.
Hang on. Why would they just not install a puppet that they complete control, like an Obama? Or like a Bush Jr.? Come on, man. This is your theory, right?
Obama didn't agree to glass Gaza. This is my point about influence, rather than control, right? You can influence these people, and the way that you do it is you get them to accept certain fundamental premises, right? And once they accept one premise, the other premises fall into place like dominoes afterwards, right? So if you can get a president to believe premise number one, that Iran is the biggest danger to the world, right? And premise number two, that it'll be easy, 2 weeks in and out, it'll be a cakewalk. Then 80% of your work is done, really, right? You just keep pushing on those assumptions that you've already implanted. I don't know, man. Why?
I know too much about the United States electoral process to accept the premise that they let somebody through that they did not control. right? There's no way anybody, like, they control the FEC, they control who gets to debate, they control who gets on television, they control the delegates, they control the caucus system.
Then
right?
why?
Nobody is just slipping through that net.
Then why did they keep Trump out in 2020?
Why did or why didn't?
Why did they?
They were trying to keep him out in 2016, 2020, and 2024.
Okay, but like then
their countermeasures were defeated.
I mean, there's almost certainly more than one faction within the.
That's the point.
State,
that's the point.
Right?
He's not just. That's the point I've been trying to make across all these shows I've been doing. Okay, Trump is not just a guy, and his personality has nothing to do with nothing. What he wants and how he feels. He represents a faction. He's got a posse, right?
Yes.
Who in a coordinated fashion overcame this all these countermeasures, which are formidable. Okay, speaking as somebody who's like supported many third-party candidates up until like 2016, they are formidable. You are not breaking through them by accident, and or as an individual, no matter how smart you are.
Right. I'm totally willing to. I mean, of course. Like, I don't understand. I don't disagree with that. What's your wider point?
Well, I don't know, because it seems to me like things are happening the way they're happening because of how somebody influenced Trump personally, or how he feels personally, or he's a showman, or his ego was bruised, and like all this stuff. And that's not how politics works in my understanding of the world.
That's not entirely true, right? Like, okay, so yes, you have a group, yes, they get behind like a person, but once that person gets in the chair, they have to be controlled. They have to be massaged.
They were controlled already, or else they won't get through the
right.
net.
But influence, the word is influence, not control, right? Like, and the more volatile the personality, and you know, and because it's such a incredibly stressful job, right? The more volatile the personality, the more likely they are to like flip out. I mean,
he flipped out. That's the theory. What?
No. I'm just saying, like, I could see
there's so much evidence of like this second that he fronts for a faction. There's so much.
Right.
Why,
sure.
Can't we just accept that as a fact and not keep going back to like, you know, position A to like debate whether this is actually real? It's real, right? Trump has a posse.
I would totally.
They make the decisions.
I would totally believe that, right? Okay, so in this hypothetical sort of like thing of like the posse and the decisions and no, right? How are these decisions arrived at? Okay, right? Like, so presumably they have long-standing goals, okay? But the actual nitty-gritty of how to achieve those goals are going to like change moment to moment, right?
I think
events like can happen. So it's a bit of a stretch to say that every single time, right, a pressing event happens, right, Trump calls a meeting of all of his backers. No, right? This is what I mean.
I think
okay,
his script is handed to him, is what I think. I'm sure he has some buy-in to like the process, and his opinions are heard, but I don't think the final call.
As events advance, right, somebody's got to make these quick on the ground decisions. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, right? Like, you can set these larger goals in these like meetings, right? But when shit's actually in the middle of hitting the fan, that's when like Trump or, you know, Hegseth or whatever, they are going to be making these like literal on the ground decisions that can like backfire. That's what I'm getting at, right? Like,
I understand. I think I understand your point. What's hitting the fan? There's no crisis that they didn't themselves create. They created this crisis. Whatever your opinion is about why they created the crisis, it's their crisis.
No.
I don't think they're running scared.
The crisis is that peace might break out, right? The crisis is that,
come on, man,
like Israel might be like, you know, seriously negatively affected.
Dude,
right?
no. If you accept the second faction theory, then that faction does not work for Israel.
We're back to the Trump was secretly installed to destroy Israel theory, right?
It's working so far.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man, right? Like,
we established this.
Do you really need like a convoluted thing to just explain like naked hubris?
It's not that convoluted.
Right, but you surely would agree, okay, that if this
your theory is compelling if you ignore all the evidence to the contrary.
You surely would agree that like this group is prone to incredible hubris. Right? They're prideful, right? They're like, you know, they're puffed up, like they're smelling their own farts, right? They love, like they're hopped up with like weird apocalyptic like mysticism and stuff.
That WWE is going to affect. Wasn't just an analogy. I do believe that they actually use that as a model for the way they do their shall we say front-facing presentation. So yeah, they all strut around.
Right. Okay. Well, you know, the problem with hubris, right, is that it makes you overreach, right? It makes you disregard contrary evidence, right? Like, you know, the pride comes before the fall. They are so full of hubris. Like, I mean, like, I'm not discounting your theory at all. I just think that it's very, very easy for these people to
if we eliminate all the character drama, take Trump out of the equation entirely. He doesn't exist anymore. Okay, and his tweets and his hubris and the things he says, right? And you just look at this like geopolitically, right?
Right.
This has gone.
I'm not talking about Trump's
Israel's the most hated. Is by a huge margin. Okay, their IMF grifts are not going to work anymore. The whole basis for their power has been completely undermined. They have no place to go. Nobody will take them in. They're not going to shift to China. Maybe they'll shift to India. Okay. It's a catastrophe. And you hear them say this on a regular basis.
Yes,
but Trump says he loves them. So obviously he's their best friend, even though everything that he has done has been absolutely catastrophic for them.
But that's how hubris works. That's how excessive pride works, right?
They get personality has nothing to do with this. This is geopolitics.
Geopolitics is ultimately driven by the decision of people. People are vulnerable to sins. They are vulnerable to hubris. History is littered of examples of this, right? Of like, you know, generals who got high on their own supply, right? Thought that they couldn't lose, right? That like, you know
what happens to them? People who break ranks with their group, they get mutinies happen. Okay,
sure. But also they commit to military adventures that go horribly wrong because they overestimate their own capabilities. You see what I'm getting at?
Well, yeah, we're back to personality. This is all about Trump's personality.
I'm not talking about Trump specifically. I'm talking about the Israeli faction more generally. Right, like they're so convinced of their own. Well, it seems like they're so convinced of their own.
Oh, that's what you mean. Well, in that case, if you had somebody who said he were their best ally and guaranteed them that that this military adventure would be a great idea, and nothing bad could personally happen. Oh, and we totally got you back, bro. Wink, wink, wink. Yes, you could. When somebody like that could lead the Israelis right off a cliff.
I suppose that's true.
Which appears to be what has happened.
I mean, okay. I mean, that is a more believable theory, right? That you have these people who are like, you know, so puffed up with like pride, right? They're like, we're going to walk off a cliff, and then everyone's just like, oh, well, right this way, gentlemen. You know what I mean, right? And they're like, you know, actually, when we walk off this cliff, right, like we're so awesome, we will just be lifted up, and everyone else is tired of their shit, and they're like, well, here's you know, please step this way to the cliff. I could believe that. Yeah.
I don't think the United States, I don't think Trump is dumb enough to go to war with Iran and think he could win, but I think Netanyahu probably is.
I don't know about that.
Well, he's been agitating for it for 40 years, right?
No. I'm just saying, right? Like the history of the United States is filled with like weird military adventures.
Yeah.
Like
this. Okay. Well, this is significant, actually, as far as weird goes. But
it's not like the United States has like never gotten itself all puffed up and got into a military adventure that then turned out to be like a terrible fucking idea. They do have a bit of a track record.
Right, but comparisons matter. Why did I say that? That doesn't make any sense. Let's take two case studies, Vietnam and Iraq. Okay. In both cases, great effort was made to sell this to the American public and was successful in the short run in persuading the American public this is a good idea, this is in their interest.
Yep.
And a significant amount of military resources were committed, like very large troop buildups, right, etc. Okay? It looks like they were trying to win Iraq and Vietnam. They were doing their best, even though it didn't turn out so well. Iran is a completely different situation. No effort at all has been made to sell this to the American public. Contrary-wise, it seems like everybody close to the president has been trying to tell you how horrible Trump is for making this decision and what a terrible decision this is. It's opposite.
I always thought this was because...
One more point.
Right, please go on.
The two invasions that have been attempted have been very small, against overwhelming odds. The one against Isfahan and another one just now against Karg Island. Inadequate forces, unsupported, like you're trying to fail.
I always thought that this whole thing was a bit rushed, actually, right? Like that was the general impression that I got, right? That they basically, decided we're going to do it against the advice of, all the sort of like sober CIA types. I think another thing that is underappreciated too is that you can't do a massed surprise attack anymore. It's just impossible, right? You've got global satellite coverage, you've got transponders, you've got like all of this stuff. Okay, so it's not like you can do a mass surprise attack. So okay, so let's sort of go with your theory here. Okay, right? So if the US is going to invade Iran, oh no, it seems like we're back. Okay, so
yeah, you're back.
If they were going to invade Iran, how would they do it? Right, like logistic, like where would they invade?
You wouldn't. But if you were serious about it, blockade it for get air superiority at least first before you attempt any kind of a ground invasion. Those would be step one and step two, I would say, if you were serious and not retarded.
But they've
tried. You hadn't fallen head first down like concrete stairs. What?
Right. But they've tried that. Okay, and they've tried,
but they haven't succeeded. So you don't move on to step three.
This is my point, right? Like, I don't think that the US has just been we're being deliberately retarded, right? Like, tons of their guided
missiles being accidentally retarded.
Correct. So tons of their guided missile stock has already been depleted because of Ukraine and various other interventions. So they can't get air superiority. The most logical place to invade from would be north through the Caspian Sea, where Tehran is, right? Particularly given the US playbook. But to do that, they would have to like base in like one of the stands, like Tajikistan or something like that. But if they did that, that would like start a massive war around the Caspian, because the Iranians and the Russians would be very, very pissed off about that. They can't just like invade through the Persian Gulf because the whole place is surrounded by mountains. It just looks to me like a folly of errors, right? Like this is why I'm going with the hubris explanation, because it seems like
it's not just one person's hubris.
Again, I'm not saying it's one person's hubris, right? You can have a whole group of people being puffed up by like
they're just
collective.
They all
hubris.
Fell down a flight of concrete stairs head first, and then they got up and went back to work.
Well, it's sort of bleeding from the head at this point.
In the case of 9/11, the massive simultaneous failure of intelligence and military on that day, I do not find plausible. I think it is evidence that the conspiracy was afoot. On October 7th, the massive simultaneous failure of intelligence and military is not plausible. I think it's evidence that, a conspiracy was afoot. And in this case as well, the massive simultaneous failure of everything at the same time, I just do not find plausible.
But it's not a failure of intelligence. They have the intelligence. They know this shit was impossible. They just chose to ignore it.
The media failed to sell it to the public. The military has failed to achieve any objective. The diplomats fail in it's cascading failure, one failure after another. There's been no success at all. And you're telling me that everybody in I just saw this on like Facebook the other day, like this meth head with a face tattoo doing roofing, going on about how dumb the president is. Okay. He may not be the smartest guy in the world, but okay. If you're telling me like all of the American government is dumber than a meth head with a face tattoo.
No, I'm not saying
that. Is your theory. That is your theory. Because he's figured this out and the president has not.
That's not my theory at all. My theory is that they deliberately ignored all the people telling them stuff they didn't want to hear.
That's just another way to be stupid.
Why can't the people in government be stupid? They're just people.
Everybody in the government is dumber than even the average American. Even 70 IQs are calling out the president for his stupidity.
Well, they are.
That's a fact. They are.
I mean, it's a bit post facto though.
Oh, well,
right?
If the government suddenly became smart at some point in this, it's been a year, almost a year, 6 months.
Yeah.
But that's not happening either. Like there's been no flash of intelligence. It's just consistently stupid, consistently like sub 70 IQ decisions across the board for a long period of time. That's not reality. That's not real. That doesn't happen.
So you believe it is intelligence masquerading as stupidity, essentially?
I believe that Trump is handcuffing himself to Netanyahu and jumping off a cliff. That's what I think.
Interesting.
I think the reason they're not trying to sell it to us is because we're not the mark here, right? We're just kind of frustrated, like, seething and like, but no effort has been made to like sell this to us or calm us down or make us feel better, which they could do easily. Right?
Well, there is also the theory that they're trying to deliberately engineer a global famine for,
and there's also that, because obviously this is about us, the people. But I think the mark is the Zionists. Much effort has been made to sell this to the Zionists and to make them feel good and to make them happy about what's happening, even though it's a disaster. They're the mark. They're getting the attention.
So you're interesting. So they're scamming the moose, essentially.
Absolutely.
The scammer becomes the
they
scam.
Probably wouldn't. Sure.
That's an interesting theory. I don't know. I mean,
that's objectively true, right? Dude, try this out on X. Okay. There are some accounts on X, like if you criticize them, you're invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you can say what you want. You get shadow banned only on these particular very Zionist accounts.
Okay.
Right? So they don't see the criticism. They don't see you. They only see happy thoughts being reflected their direction.
But they're always like that. They love that shit, right? Like that is a fundamental Mooish characteristic. It's one of the reasons why they keep getting into this shit over and over through history.
Be that as it may, X still censors this. X still censors your criticism of these people.
Sure, because
you have to ask why.
Moan and they say it and they kvetch.
You can say it to other Americans. You can spread the anti-Semitism across the X, but these very important Zionist accounts won't see it.
Right. And what I'm saying
that's a very particular algorithm.
What I'm saying, right, is that I agree, right? But what I'm saying is that they themselves impose this kind of protection because they hate like seeing criticism, and then they just
I thought you said they love seeing criticism.
Sorry? No, I didn't.
Oh, never mind. I thought that I misunderstood.
No.
They do. It reinforces their exceptionalism.
Yeah, they only like seeing retarded criticism. Is what I've noticed, right? It's like the low IQ anti-Semitism thing that they're constantly going on about, right? Like they're happy to see, like Jake Shields or like other people being like her, but they won't engage with any substantial arguments, right? That's why the low IQ anti-Semitism, the high IQ quote unquote anti-Semitism, they just don't engage with, right? They're just
well, to them all anti-Semitism is low IQ anti-Semitism.
Yeah, Yeah.
But yeah, I see your point. But yeah, that's what it looks like to me, man. Like they're the mark, not us. And that's why there's been no attempt to sell it to us, because we're just observers in this.
Well, I mean, that is true. That is true. All right, listen, we're in an hour and a half.
We just crossed the 30-minute mark. So yes, it's time to go.
That's I don't know, man. That's going to give me the big thing, right? Like who is scamming?
We'll just wait for the comments where they all call me like Fox News, like Fox News. This is the kind of analysis you're going to see on Fox News, my friend. Just tune into Jesse Waters tonight. You'll hear all about the big move against the Jews.
Well, it's been great talking to you as always, man.
Tune in.
Tune in. We'll do another one like in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much once again. Wait, can people still like buy Virtue Signal 2 from like Kickstarter and
Virtue Signal is out of print. I'm working on second edition. Civil War 2 is on the water and should be arriving in about a month. There's my own channel, like Incel Riot on YouTube, where I get even more unhinged.
Oh, well, you should check that out if you like unhinged, William Unhinged.
Yeah.
like China Uncensored, but William Unhinged.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, mate. All right, see you later.